one, two questions about the first years, about your formation and accomplishment as a dancer, because we have 17, 18 first years of your life when you became an accomplished dancer.
Yes.
When you were 4 years old, you have your first contact with the dance through your grandmother.
That's correct.
And then at 11 years, your first Irish dance lessons.
Yes.
And already at 17 years old, you are first award of champion in dance.
That's correct.
So my theme to you is, in what circumstances did you really start to believe that you could be a good dancer and you can, follow a career from the dance?
Well, it was very difficult. First of all, that's a great question. It was very difficult because in the beginning, in order for me to win my world championship, I had to think like the Irish people and the Irish dance community. It was very difficult for me to have to confine my upper body movement in order to be able to win this title. So I had to make sacrifices. And even as a young man, they were profound sacrifices. I was never happy dancing with my hand at my side. I never felt natural. It never felt comfortable to me. Something was wrong in my mind. I just saw it so differently. But I know that in order to win my world title, I had to perform exactly according to their rules. They had rules within rules. They were spoken rules, and then there were unspoken rules. And it was a matter of, it's a strong term, but it was almost obedience to the art form, which I found very, very difficult at the time. But I was determined, and I was determined to win that world title. At that point, there was no such thing as thinking even what I might do afterwards. I was so focused on that. And the first time I performed in Ireland, I'd won all the championships across America and Canada. The first time I performed in Ireland, I didn't win. The second time I went back, I came fourth. I didn't win. And each time it pushed my engine to work harder. But I was very determined. I had to continually go back and go to the rules and be more and more strict with myself until I got to the point when I knew that I could dance new steps that they hadn't seen within their rules in order to win that world championship. Once I won the world championship, the strangest thing happened. I was on the airplane coming home, sitting with the trophy in my lap, and just suddenly it occurred to me, oh my God, what now? Is this it? I worked all these years, I won it, and now I can do nothing with this. And I can't explain the feeling, but it was horrific. So I was so happy I was world champion, but yet there was a bittersweet feeling because now what? Now what can you possibly do? And so then my new dream was to find a way to make that something special. And so I continued to create. But once I won my world title, I forgot about putting the arms down, and I started to dance the way I wanted to dance. And that's when my life changed forever. And then I knew that there's something, the little light bulb went on, and I started touring with the Chieftains. And every night on stage, I experimented with new routines and new dance steps and new styles and moving my body and dancing to different sounds of music and dancing against the drummers and challenging the drummers. And the more I did, the more the audiences stood up. And then I came up in my mind thinking, what if I could have a line of dancers behind me? A whole chorus line of dancers doing exactly the same step at exactly the same time. If I'm getting standing ovations on my own, what would it be like to have 20, 30, 40 dancers with me? Surely that would be something that the audience would pay money to see night after night. And I became absolutely convinced, and then that put me on my quest to create shows, and finally I had the opportunity.
But going on this, let's say, following this line, when in your first years, when you felt this urge about going in dance against the traditions and the rules, and innovating and bringing new elements in your, let's say, years of garage practice
Yes.
at your home.
Yes.
From where did they come this type of influences or new routines to introduce or to absorb? Tell us a few words about this dance scene you were exposed to in order to, a little bit to give you ideas or, how to say, to finish, to accomplish your innovations.
Well, that's another great question. Thank you. There were no other dance things that I was exposed to. I wasn't involved in any dance scene because where I grew up living in Chicago, my brother and I were both fighters, boxers. I played music and we danced Irish dance. So we weren't exposed to other forms of dance. And while looking back, it might have been detrimental. In fact, it was a blessing from God because I was forced to go inside to create something new. I was forced to go inside in myself and listen to the voice, and I believe from God that I opened the channel. Sometimes I would work on steps, for an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, and then I'd come back and do another 4 hours, and nothing would come, and then 2 days, 3 days later, and all of a sudden the channel was open, and then it would come like lightning, so much, and it would push me just to the brink. And I remember there were times I would wake up on the floor in the studio, and not even remembering how did I fall asleep. I don't even know how long I was there, because it takes you into another place, into a trance. It takes you into a whole other place. You're not really in control. Your mind is taken over by this dream and by the creative powers, wherever they come from. I believe it's all from God. And so going inside is the thing that makes my dance unique to any other dance, in my opinion. And that's why I couldn't do the show like this. I try to keep a little bit of it in my show for the dancers, but never me, never the lead dancers, because my dream was to take it somewhere else, take it to a new dimension. I really believe that, I don't know how it started, that Irish dance began with the arms at the sides, because I know that hundreds of years ago they didn't. They were just wild Celtic men and women who danced with passion and their heart. They danced. So my job, I feel, I was sent here to put it back the way it should be. All of us have our own unique personalities. Irish people are known for their warmth, or their humor, their fighting, their competing, their love, their passion, their songs. And I wanted to bring that back into the dance, where it should be, where it rightfully belongs. And I believe that there are those that would argue I've been reasonably successful.
But from feeling and creating a choreography for yourself, or dreaming a choreography for other people, it's okay, but you had a tremendous evolution in creating, even through 96, the Lord of the Dance, creating choreographies for large ensembles.
Yes.
That doesn't mean only feelings, but also doesn't mean skills, but working.
Yes.
People, communicating your dreams,
yes.
and making them, how to say, functioning as an ensemble.
Yes.
Can you tell us a few words about your, let's say, creative and work process in putting choreographically a show like this, an ensemble show together?
Sure. Yes. You can't, in my opinion, you can't have a great general without a great army. And you can't have a great army without a great general. So the most important thing for me when I was creating was to show my dancers, not tell them, but show them that I would dance every time in front of them. I never took a second off. I was there when they arrived in the morning, and when they left in the evening, I was the last man with the shoes on to create each thing. But I suppose in a way it's a gift, and in a way it's a curse, because my mind is always switched on. And so, as an example, there are moments in the show, like the Hell's Kitchen number, when there are several lines of dancers, and they're dancing contrapuntal rhythm patterns that are competing for attention, yet they're all complementary. Well, in order to do that, I had to have that finished in my mind before I went into the studio, because in the very beginning, I didn't have the money to do that. I couldn't just bring in dancers and say, what'll I do today? I just couldn't afford it. So I had to have it all finished in my head. And so there were times I'd been in the studio dancing and trying to imagine while I'm dancing what the other dancer might do that would complement this. And back in the day, I had these old, like cassette recorders where you push the two buttons, record it and play. Most people wouldn't know what I'm talking about even. But I would put down a rhythm pattern on that and then press play and then dance the second one myself against it until I got it perfect. Then I got two recorders and I did the same again, the thing. And then what the most remarkable thing, when I got in with the dancers, when I was able to show them, somehow my mind had reached a place where I could now do it immediately. And so I was saying, okay, now you do this, now you do this. And I was able to go to 5 and 6 different levels to create. I don't know why that's in me, but it's just in me. I can hear it, I can see it. When I'm in the front of the line, when I'm on stage and I'm dancing, and there's 40 dancers dancing as fast as they can, each one hitting the floor at exactly the same time, several times in a second, I can tell which one is out, if there's one out. I know, I can hear it. And that's because I created it. Only the man that built the watch can fix the watch.
But how a general recruits an army, in the sense, but what needs a youngster aspiring to be a dancer, needs to have in order to attract her attention, making it potentially a performer in your army?
Okay, that's a good question. So many dancers come to me, and especially in the beginning, and many of them are world champion dancers. And they're technically brilliant, but they don't have the little light. They don't have that special thing. Other ones that have come, Gillian Norris, Bernadette Flynn, Darren Nolan, some of them didn't win the world championships, but as soon as they got on stage, they lit up. They don't just want to dance, they need to dance, and they need to be pushed.
It's their life.
That's their life. They're hungry to go someplace that they haven't been. So my job is to reach inside of them and bring out that special talent that they have, bring out that special thing that they have that even they don't know they have. And then if I'm successful in doing that, then there comes a time when they will continue on that trajectory that I have set them on, and they will show me something that even I didn't know was in them. And that's beautiful.
And the complementary question regarding also the shows, which have us. You brought the dance show as a concept to a huge level, to your dream was for big arenas, competing the rock stars concerts. There's another component in which you showed us a tremendous knowledge and inspiration. That means the technical part and logistics part of the shows.
Yes.
That means you're from Lord of the Dance to Fit of Flames, and then about video projections and technical. How do you work on this one in your team or you personally? Because from the costume design to the look of the show, every detail is obviously very clearly fell into the same puzzle. How do you work on this type of, let's say, the event design?
Well, it is an event. The Lord of the Dance needs to be an event. I always believe that when I'm creating anything, the first thing I think of is, what are the audience expecting to see? And then I think, what are the audience hoping to see? Because they're two different things. You can't just give them what they're expecting. You have to go miles past that. You have to say, wow, that's not what I was expecting. You have to give them something special. So the reason I believe that we're such a big selling show, especially after 25 years, unlike all the other forms of dance, is that our show crosses over from theatrical, and it can be very theatrical at times. The acting can be very poignant, but it's also rock and roll. It's also glamour and glitz. It brings a little bit of, what's the word? A little bit of Broadway pizzazz to the stage. Something, it's bright and loud and fast and flashy, but never forgetting the artistic roots. Never do we wander from the artistic roots. We maintain that dignity and integrity of the dance itself at all times. There's nothing in the show that I would allow that's distasteful or done just to say, look at me. We are in the dance, and that in and of itself is spectacular. That in and of itself is enough for people to sit back and say, wow. In fact, I believe that's why audiences are so drawn to it, because of the sincerity. You know, when you have that group of dancers that are trained to the teeth, dancing all at the same time, it's a remarkable sight, and it's a remarkable feeling, and it affects people. It affects their, I think it affects their central nervous system and their soul. These rhythm patterns have been, Celtic rhythm patterns have come across Europe for, thousands of years. They've been that's in us, and when it's all done together, it's like a war cry. It's also like a celebration. It's a release, and coming up to the end of the show, it builds to a crescendo. It builds slowly but surely. We take them to the high, we slow them down. We take them to the high, we slow them down. But the end is a run to the top. And I think that it moves people emotionally. It moves them to a place that even maybe they're not conscious of why they're being moved there. But we've not had a show where we didn't receive a standing ovation. Now, I've been to a lot of shows in my life, of different types of shows, and sometimes people stand up and give a polite applause, but it's not the same as what we achieve and what we experience city to city. People jump up, young people, old people, from everywhere. Our show knows no barriers. It doesn't matter the race, the color, the religion, the language. There are no barriers. It's exactly the same response from everybody, whether it's China or Africa or America or Europe or Mexico, as I said, South America. It's the same. Whatever it is, it gets people going. And if we've accomplished anything, we've accomplished that.
So, first phase of your tremendous career was being an accomplished dancer. Then you added a new dimension of being a choreographer. Then the third dimension, which was the designer,
Yes.
show designer. So after 2000 and last years, when you retired in Vegas from dancing,
Yes.
from performing, you added the fourth dimension. Generated by your obvious interest in visual arts.
Yes.
So tell us a few words about your painting tastes and the reason why, and also about your involvement in cinema.
Yes.
And some few words about Blackbird, for example,
Yes.
useful.
Yes.
Because obviously, so just 1 second, in paintings, you choose to work on themes which are less than joyful than usual, as the dance shows like Great Famine, for
Yes.
example.
Yes, exactly.
And Blackbird is not exactly a comedy or entertaining movie.
No.
So please tell us about your, let's say, choices and your relationship with the visual arts in the last years.
Yes, well, another great question, thank you. Yes, I think that many artists, whether they know it or not, have within them, if they're creative at one thing, they believe, and we're being taught by the global media that, well, you can't do that. You know, yeah, you're a great boxer, you can't be a great runner. You're a great, singer, you can't be a great dancer. Well, we're always being taught that stick to what you're good at. Well, I don't agree with any of that. I think it's where the mind focuses the laser. That creative laser will go where you want it to go, when you need it to go there. The painting began because in my home, it started back in really the early 2000s. I wanted to perform in Madison Square Garden in New York City. And the reason I wanted that was because not only is it the center of Manhattan, but I'm a big boxing fan. So it's where Joe Louis fought, Rocky Marciano fought, Muhammad Ali fought, Roberto Duran. It was all my boxing heroes. And so my dream was to bring my show there. 18,000 people, sold out. It was a dream. And in my Feet of Flames show, on the stage, I have to bring my own stage everywhere around the world. The floor is covered in a substance called marley. It's like a vinyl. So it's non-slip for the dancers. So there's a trapdoor in the center of the stage that's 1 meter square. And that trapdoor is where I'm doing my Feet of Flame. So I come back to the center of the trapdoor and I do really fast taps, and then I finish, and then the pyrotechnic goes off and I go down through the trapdoor. Well, most of my crew had been with me for many, many years by the time I got to Madison Square Garden. And they were part of the dream, and they knew that I wanted to do that. And so when the tour finished, they took the trapdoor marley with all of the taps on it, must be 1 million taps on it, and they framed it, and they sent it to me as a gift, that the dream came true. And so I put it up on my wall at Castle Hyde in Ireland. And I had a big Christmas party, about 150 people or so for a Christmas party every year. And some people bring their friends, and I noticed when we were going for dinner, we passed by this piece of art, and I heard these people talking about, I wonder who the artist is. wow, it's fantastic, I've never seen anything like it. And it never occurred to me that somebody in the art business, as they were, was looking at that as a work of art. It never occurred to me. Then I decided, that put up a little light bulb in my head. What if I put paint on my shoes? Because you have to understand that unlike other painters, as a dancer, I have to paint my picture on stage every night new. Rembrandt, Van Gogh, they paint their painting once and it lasts forever. I have to do mine again every night. So then I thought, if I could manage to take a 3D dance and convert it to a 2D piece of art, a sort of a transmogrification of the dance, that dance would live forever in that way. And that's how it began. And now I'm the second biggest selling artist in Irish history.
And about the cinema and the
Yes, I think again, I follow my dreams. And because of the way that I create my shows, I create my movie the same way. My mother, God bless her, God rest her soul, she always wanted me to make a film. And I decided after I retired that I would go ahead and make this movie. So, and I know I got a hard time from some critics for doing it because I wrote it, I directed it, I produced it, and I starred in it. But that's who I am. I couldn't imagine, and I know it's only me, and perhaps it'll sound iconoclastic, but I believe that only one artist can paint the picture. If Rembrandt said, I'm going to do the face and the body, you go and fill in the bit around the end, you go and put whatever clothes you want on and paint that later, and you go and do this, and you take it, I don't think we'd have the same singular vision. For me, at least, that's the way I see it. So I couldn't imagine somebody writing the words that I will say, because they wouldn't know what I'm thinking, how I want to deliver those words, if you know what I'm saying. You know, and Blackbird, while it was got a hard time from some critics, the general public loved it. And I get stopped all the time by people saying, loved your movie. And young men especially, they all say, oh, I want to be that guy in Blackbird, that was so cool. That's a good thing. So I wanted to start with a movie that had no dance, just to prove that I could do it. Mission accomplished. Now, maybe there's a dance movie in my future. Let's see.